By just increasing Meta, we increased our Capital One shopping, which is referral. Our Klaviyo emails are up 35%. Our Instagram is up 130%. Our Facebook is up 123%. And our Google is up 11%. So green, 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 green on, well, there's 4 different channels because these 2 are the same. So 4 channels all show green by at least 11 or 130% by just increasing one campaign by double.
What we haven't been doing is we haven't been doing any illicit drugs with all the media buying we're doing these days, especially with the Andromeda update. We're actually pretty straight and narrow on that.
Yeah, it's actually now like SOPable and it's repeatable.
Yeah,
it's worked on. I mean, we're doing a small case study today, but it's more about Andromeda plus the First-Click CAPI imports to new customers only on Meta and Google. But then when I tell people that their in-platform metrics are going to look really weird, they're like, oh yeah, okay, and then it looks really weird and they panic. So what we're kind of reiterating today is like when you're using CAPI imports, you're missing data that you're used to, and it's not just that you're missing data of the overlap, yet you are, and not of the returning customers, but yes, you are. So those 2 are conversions that are not going to be identified inside of the platform anymore. So your CPA usually goes up, your ROAS usually goes down, but because we're optimizing off of click imports, the typical view engaged and and view through conversions that Meta typically counts have been kind of snuffed a bit because they're not necessarily capturing all remarketing without clicks. They can only show the results with a click. So what's interesting about this is when you're taking a CAPI import and saying, hey, we've been able to track that Meta has produced 100 new customers that we can identify from a first click basis. That is never going to be the entirety of what Meta is doing for you. And I'll give everyone just a good kind of soundbite to remember. If your average click-through rate on Meta, let's just say it's 5%, that's excellent. But if you have a 5% click-through rate, the data that you can import is only 5% of what Meta actually did for your company. That's all you can track. So if you think about it, click attributed means, I mean, if you have a 3% conversion or 3% click rate, 2% click rate, you're missing 97%, 98% of the data. So the reason why media buyers or sometimes some strategists or business owners or agencies, whatever it is, have trouble building the client's businesses off of in-platform metrics is because if you use the standard platform metrics, they look fantastic. They're always, really, really good CPA. I'll share with you my brand that I've been working on for some time now. It's actually been a year this month, which is pretty cool.
Well, before we get into that, can we say who the show is sponsored by?
Sure.
So we've been doing basically a 9-month infomercial. Meta, Andromeda, and creative diversification plus CAPI imports, which is included inside the Tier 11 data suite. Obviously, there's a couple of different ways in which you can do that. One of the things that we talked about, we launched it last week, and mentioned it the first time, is all of this you can get at Tier 11 for a very special price. You will buy the creative diversification package or unlock the creative diversification package, which is 30 plus creatives per month, iterations 5 to 7 per week, based upon ad spend, based upon all the things that we've talked about on these shows here. And you get your media buying and you get your Tier 11 data suite, which includes CAPI imports for free. Check it out over at tier11.com/creative-diversification. That's tier11.com/creative-diversification. I think if you miss the dash, it still redirects. Anyway, the point is you're buying one thing, you're getting 2 things for free. It's the craziest offer we've ever done because we believe in this stuff so much. And you, to your credit, have spent $7.8 million of
at least,
in our own businesses to test this. And it's obviously what we've been talking about here and perfecting this. I haven't seen anybody else do this on the internet. And there's a argument raging over on Facebook that I got into with me and you about like who came up with this first. I'm like, it's John Moran. So anyway,
who's saying otherwise?
Yeah, absolutely. They're like, yeah, all these other people. I'm like, no, that's not Nick Shackelford. Come on.
No.
He hasn't run an ad in years.
We have the data.
We got the data. We show it every week.
I'll hop into my account and show when the Andromeda was set up in November of 2024.
Oh, look at that. See?
That's actually the account I'm in right now.
That's amazing. So anyway, so check that out. We're going to leave that screen going. So if you're interested in getting our help, an amazing package. It's only for 11 businesses. I think we've already sold 4, so there's 7 left right now. So get it while it's hot. So anyway, take it away, John Moran.
Cool. So I'm just gonna share screen on on this campaign real quick. This is actually let me remove the attribution settings first so we can kind of talk about this real quick. So we're going to get into MMM. MMM is going to be the topic for today, but we're going to be discussing why MMM. So if we look at this,
you're going to define MMM for those people who might not know what it is.
Absolutely. That's going to be wait until we release it. It'll be like all dramatic for effect. So, right. So this is the First-Click CAPI imports for new customers that we measure everything off of new customer only. And now those things look like 350, 360, 274. So what's funny is you're like, oh my God, you're spending $3,500 getting $274, but here you're spending $4,600 and getting $36. Like, whoa, look at how much better that is. $36 compared to $274.
And that per purchase digestive is a first click.
First click. Yep. First click and new customer.
Got it.
Now, here's what's interesting. If we actually look at the $36 purchase and we go over into the attribution settings and we say, hey, you know what, let's just look at the 7-day clicks, because that's pretty much kind of like where we see everything. What you'll notice is a few things first. The reason why this has a $36 CPA is because every 78 7-day clicks I get 51 one-day views and 4 one-day engaged views, which kicks it up to 129. Now, when you look at the ratios between 78 and 51 compared to a CAPI import, which is 836. So I have a way more click attributed, a lot less one-day engaged view. Now, why would there still be one-day views? Because even though we're importing the click, it's going to give you attribution on the last thing that happened. Click, view.
And it's probably a previous customer or somebody who has purchased in the past is what you're probably saying. Yeah.
Well, maybe because like this one here is this one's on a new customer, but it means that they had an ad click, then they saw an ad next and then converted and we're a brand new first time customer. But because it's last click / last interaction attributed, it's going to say, hey, they did click, but that wasn't the last thing they did. What was the last thing they did? They saw an ad and converted the same day. Okay. But as long as there's 800 compared to 36, that's a lot of good click data. Much harder than 78 and 51. And now again, this 36 is not on all my new customers and it's not on first click. So let's just do the quick math here. If I am looking at this campaign here and I have a ad spend of 4647, so let's do 4647 divided by, and let's just do the 7-day click on new customers only, which we have 78, but only 21 are new. Ta-da! This is why standard implementation is horrible, because it says you made 78 sales. Most agencies and people are like, wow, good, I made 78 sales. Like that is what I brought to the company. Right. Not necessarily. You have 21 new customers. So if we look at this 4746 divided by 21,
it was 4647 originally, but anyway, just
4647. Dyslexia kicking in.
So that's all right.
Yeah,
all right.
I mean, or dyslexia.
That's why I'm here. 4647. There you go. Dyslexia.
Yep. Divided by 21. So now we have a 221 cost per acquired first time customer. Again, not first click attributed, just any click attributed. So that's 221. Right. Okay, so 221 is a lot different than like what we originally thought was 36. And then when you add in first click attributed, that 231 probably looks a little bit closer to 271. So your CAC is the same. Your ENCAC is the same, whether you want to say I'm going to count all the overlap and returning customers and people not buying from this campaign, but attributing this campaign. Yeah, that's $36. But when you weed out the existing customers and all the first clicks that came somewhere else, it goes right back up to 271. So people panic. It's not. It's just showing you the true number, not an inflated, non-directional number that's just more influenced by outside sources than your ad spend, which means it cannot scale.
Right.
Now, that's why First-Click CAPI imports look terrible, but perform really well, because it's learning and repeating actions it was responsible for. Now, we're going to hop into a case study, and this is the MMM case study. What the MMM stands for is multimedia mix modeling. So multimedia mix modeling essentially means I'm going to be looking at spend only by channel, adjusting spend by channel to identify where is a stable cost of acquire first-time customer that can be scaled. And what we're going to look at simply is like the entirety, but I want to share with you when we actually started it and then how that actually affects the top line metrics. Now, I don't actually have access to Meta. I do the Google ads for this company, but I do consulting in an MMM environment. I'll run Google, you run Meta, but I will dictate spend levels. They said, okay. So back in June, they had 22K in spend on Google, 32K on Meta, and was getting a nice 106 ENCAC. Looked very nice, and that was a really nice and plentiful month for us.
Target is close to 106.
Exactly right.
Okay.
And yeah, we want to be under 125. Scalable under 125. That's our goal. And now what you're going to see, though, is over time, that 32,000 went to 28, 26, 21, 16, 15, 12, all the way down to 9. And at the same time, Google went from 21 to 17 to 19 to 10, 12, then back down to 10 and 9. So we started with a nice, $54,000-$55,000 a monthly ad spend at a 106 and went all the way down to like 17 at a 96. So, and then various along the way. So it doesn't really seem like things are getting more efficient because even at a halfway point, you hit 81 and 91 here. So basically, this just kept reducing and it wasn't getting more efficient because it was not overspent. It just simply reduces the volume. So our new customers are starting to drop and are
can't help but notice. Yes, there's a significant difference just outside of your highlight there.
Exactly. And then you're going to start to see 500 customers to 400 to 300 to 200 down into the 100s here.
Yeah.
Now, this is when I actually received a message from the client saying, hey, Google's not looking too good. I'm like, I know we're pulling back spend and I know that we're thinking that is going to make things a little bit better. However, what if we did the opposite? What if we had an opposite thought process? We're looking at spend levels. So I'm going to refresh the screen here so we can get a better view of things. And I said, what if we started to benchmark the ratios between times of good performance? We already know that a 66-33 spend, which means 66% of the spend on Meta, 33% of the spend on Google, and that is going to give us an NCAC of about 106. If we started to go down into the 80s and 90s, you can see that we had about the same ratio. If you go down in here, you start to see about the same ratio. So it seems like when you're spending about a 60-40 split between Meta and Google, maybe a 70-30 split between Meta and Google, your NCAC looks really good. So we have these areas benchmarked here. Now let's take a look at something else. If we said that Meta goes from 32 down to 26, and then Google goes from like 17 up to 19, okay, that looks like a bad ratio now. This one is scaling down. This one is scaling up.
Right.
17. This one went from 14 at 100, 19, 110, 19, 134, but 28, 26, 26. It actually, because of you have your 7-day sales cycle, it started trending in the wrong direction. So we started to look at it. It says, okay, here's the plan now. It looks like Meta is way better at prospecting, which is what I call the law of CPMs. If you have a $10 CPM and a $5 click on Google, $10 CPM on Meta, $5 click on Google, for every 2 people I bring to the site, Meta can show ads to 2,000. Makes a lot more sense to do prospecting on Google when you're talking about rapid scale at a fixed NCAC because of the law of CPMs. Google also starts to get increased into CPC when you start to scale on search, not so much on shopping. PMAX is junk, but on search, it definitely starts to increase its CPC. PMAX just starts to overshow to warm traffic. So it doesn't scale very well. So we whittled everything down to just a standard shopping campaign and brand inside of Meta and then, in Google. And then I told Meta, I said, I want you to double spend and close your eyes. And we're going to do this for a month. He's like, that sounds counterintuitive to.
And what month was that? I'm just following along here, but
right here,
right there. Okay. Got it.
So what we're going to see here, let me refresh the screen here because it looks like we're starting to whittle down into the areas where we're now spending like 9 and 9 and have a 96. I'm like, well, when their spend levels are the same, yes, it looks good. But what we noticed is anytime that Google started to push higher, the NCAC went up. But when Meta pushes higher, it necessarily doesn't. So that's what's kind of interesting is 11 can go down to 9 and 16, and we're in a good area. When 10 goes to 12 and 16 goes to 17, that was a large jump. That was a higher increase of ad spend compared to Meta's increase. So all we note is that when Google starts to push, NCAC definitely goes up. When Google stays flat, but Meta starts to push, ENCAC holds. That's what we're able to identify with the spend levels when you're looking at this weekly. So I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to take your weekly average ad spend of 11,000, and we're going to turn that into a weekly average of 23,000, more than a 100% increase in ad spend.
Doubling it a little bit more. Yeah.
And now Google is going to go from 10.5, and I'm going to whittle down to 9. So we're going to take $1,500 out per week.
Just so I'm clear, on Google, are we talking about brand only? Or are we talking about
just standard shopping
keywords? Standard shopping. Okay.
Yeah. Google
no
search
brand.
was no, we have a brand, but it's like $50 a day. Like it's very, very, very small.
Got it.
You don't really need to spend too much on brand. So when we're looking at the spend level, we're usually talking about like prospecting new customers, first click only. It's kind of hard to get a lot of returning customers or do too much money in brand. Those are areas of where you see ENCAC just blast to the moon as soon as you start to crank up on brand. Looks fantastic in platform, but we've already done the reasons why it should look good at the beginning of this call.
Right.
So we said, okay, we're going to take Google from about 10K to about 9K. And then Meta is going to go from 11K to 23K. So we're going to increase this. Now, what you're going to see is this ENCAC went from an average of 97 for those 4 weeks. Now we're at an average of 93. So they doubled their spend on Meta. ENCAC dropped by $4 or 5%. And then let's see what happened to the top line. This is the last 30 days compared to the previous 30 days. I won't include the current period, but last 30 days compared to previous 30 days, we have a 52% increase in new customers. And we held our returning customers. So all we did is hold Google, double the ad spend on Meta. Meta was like, horrible ROAS, high CPA, everything's on fire. Doesn't matter. We're looking at just pure ENCAC metrics to grow and scale. Now, when we look over and down at the bottom here, we have 37% more traffic. Our conversion rate's still at a 3.21. We only went down 10%, so it's not a big drop. But now you can see the total sales and referral source up 171 on Instagram and up 153% on Facebook. And if you look at the conversion rate breakdown, 37% more sessions, 29% more add to carts, 20% more reach checkout, 23% more conversions. Every single thing looks good. And I said, hey,
nice
because
increases there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And because Google went from
telling me the traffic is better educated that's coming to this site and are further on down the line to make a purchase potentially.
Sort of.
If I'm wrong. No?
They're still going to go through all the channels though. So watch this.
Okay.
We originally said Google's not looking too good. And I said, if you double spend on Meta, Google will look better. And I'll prove it by spending less. So watch this. Remember the spend went from 10,581 on average to 8,926. So it was a $1,600 per week reduction. And Google is up 11%. We actually gained about $13,000 in revenue, according to the Shopify. And so what this says is that there's a lot of overlap. Meta has a ton of overlap on channels. And I've been seeing this for so long, but it's hard for others to really understand this when they said, wait a minute, but attribution tracking means what that channel did. No, it's what that channel could see, but we're missing a lot of data. If you look at any sort of attribution tool on the surface of its face, it's going to share a lot of revenue. So by simply just increasing...
It's directional, not exact.
Exactly. By just increasing Meta, we increased our Capital One shopping, which is referral. Our Klaviyo emails are up 35%. Our Instagram is up 130%. Our Facebook is up 123%. And our Google is up 11%. So green on, well, there's 4 different channels because these two are the same. So we got 1, 2, 3. This is the same one. So you can treat them as 2 different ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 channels all show green by at least 11 or 130% by just increasing one campaign by double. So this is what's very interesting about this is...
Quick question for you. On Shopify, in those, Facebook and Instagram, that is a mixture between ads and organic. I have to assume this client, knowing kind of who they are.
Sort of, yeah.
Not really. They don't have a huge social presence, but like in Shopify, when you see that, you are... whatever is coming from that, whether it's paid and or organic, but it's probably a smaller portion.
You sort of have to take the delta between the refer and the marketing, and you have to take the refer minus the marketing, which would be organic. So this says, hey, social Instagram is up 171%, went from 17 to 47. We're like, okay. And then if we look at Instagram here, we have 22 to 52. So this is the total refer. Now, is the refer medium, organic, or paid? And that's what you have to kind of identify is like, this came from Facebook. Be like, what kind of Facebook? Well, the Facebook where we have ad spend when UTM's is marketing, it's this result here. But if you look at all the referral source, it's over here.
So it's the delta between the two is what you're saying.
Basically, right.
In essence, yeah.
Yeah. So I usually just look at the end, but then that's also only about 50% accurate too.
Right.
So
right.
you want to just look at
take
trend.
a lot of guesses here, but
well, that's why MMM, if you look at here, this ENCAC gave us the ability. And if I control Z all the way back, this is what we were going through. This is the live documentation where we're tracking every single thing, where we went from green down to red, and then this one went to green down to blue, and then that's when we hit our zones. I mean, we're doing everything color coded, where the green was showing an increase, the red was showing a decrease. How did that actually affect the ENCAC? I mean, we're doing like averages. Then the averages of what we went to 11 up to 23. Google went from 10.5 down to 9, and CAC went from 97 down to 93. We had a whole hour-long conversation, just this one page, all color-coded, and said 2/3 Google, or 2/3 Meta Google. Meta first, Google second, 66-33 split. But in order to get there to stress test it, we just doubled the spend on Meta, and boom, nailed it. And that was exactly how we were able to get up to a 55 or 52% more new customers. And what's interesting is you see return customer rate tank down 20%.